Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, peace. Welcome to another episode. DSTM, don't shoot the messenger. You can't do that. It's your brother Ahmath IQAhmath, first name. IQ is all the same. Shabbat Shalom to my family out there. Going to blame this one on me, y'all. I messed around, set up the stream too late, so a lot of notifications didn't go out. So if you did not get a notification, it's your phone's not tripping or your YouTube isn't tripping. It was me. I got it out too late, and I didn't want to set up the stream too much later because typically I think YouTube gives like a half-hour notification. I didn't want to do the stream too much later than I'm already doing. But here we are, another Friday Night Lights. All praise, honor, glory to the Most High, man. I know it's been a minute, but we got to get it in, man. A lot to discuss as usual. As usual, man. Prayerfully, everybody is well, man, and made it in safely to enjoy your Shabbat, man. Salute to my brother and shalom to the families in the house, man. Karatazan in the house, Bayan's in the house, Koaf in the house. It's gonna be light right now. It's gonna be light until everybody starts getting hip that oh, he's up, he's on, he's on. Once you start noticing that, then you know it's that time. But other than that, we just gonna have to make it happen as we see fit. You dig what I'm saying? So let me just make sure the sound is good. How y'all brothers doing, man? Y'all all right? You and your families, man? Throw a 7 in the chat if brothers are straight. Throw 7 in the chat, man. Let me know. Let me know y'all all right. Give me 1 second, man. Let me dim this light down a little bit. It's a little got me looking more lighter skinned than I am. Hold on. Still a little light, huh? Let's see. So Bayan, you heard me. All right, so you're doing good. All right, all praises. All praises. Let me check this out. Before we get started, let me just make sure everything's set right. Yeah, we look to be pretty solid. So, look, man, a lot going on. A lot going on. Just within the last 7 days. We're going to pick up where we left off. And some aspects, we're going to add on and build as we usually been doing. But a lot of things have transpired within the last 7 days or so. You see it in the title, man, Israelite persecution. Love them or hate them. My thing is you can't argue with results. Brothers in IUIC continually pushing the gospel, doing their works. And they've been persecuted in 2 different countries as it stands right now. I know everybody's seen, or if you haven't been hip to what's been going viral, if you're not on the internet like that, you know, brothers that got, I guess they were in a particular city or province over in Kenya. Authorities came out, they got tear gassed and bombed, rocks thrown at them from the Kenyans over there. And now, of recent, I believe of this week, I saw a YouTube video and then I saw a Instagram reel that came from, I believe it was one of the IUIC, that their congregation has been shut down in France. It is illegal for them to congregate, to have any type of representation of organization out there, essentially banning them from being quote unquote Jews openly, as the scriptures have pronounced that would happen to us, and has happened to us during the time of the Greeks in Second Ezra the 6th chapter. Second Maccabees the 6th chapter, about how it was illegal for a man to proclaim himself to be a Jew. So we're going to talk about that. More wars is kicking in, man. You know, last week, America, through Marco Rubio and Donald Trump, telling Putin, look, and Zelensky, we want to end this war. We want to come to these peace agreements. If not, we're just going to walk away. And let's see what the reaction has been. You know, many of y'all been in tune. You might have figured it out and seen what Putin's answer was, but we're going to see about that. You got the military down at the border right now. Um, that could be to prevent you from leaving. Think about that. We thinking about, oh, it's for the people, trying to get in. No, what about those who are trying to leave? There's a lot of quote unquote expats that are moving into South Central America, Mexico. They're moving to the Caribbean islands. They're moving to Europe. They're trying to get up out of here because they don't like it under Agent Orange. But not to say that that's the case. But could that could they be used as a reverse force on us? Absolutely. You've got multiple stores from Walmart, Home Depot, all talking about preparing for empty shelves. There's talking about trucker layoffs because of the tariffs. I mean, it's all hell's breaking loose. Multiple earthquakes, all within the last 7 days. Um, Listen, I can show you better than I can tell you. How about that? How about that? Shalom, Sister Deborah and Raniyah. Shalom, y'all. Uziel, Malachi, shalom, y'all, brothers, man. Um, Again, if you're just getting the notification that I'm going live, it's probably because I was late setting up the stream and the typical YouTube notifications didn't go out. So only thing you're getting is a pop-up saying Messengers of the Covenant Reloaded is live. Either way, welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, all praise, honor, glory to the Most High. Shabbat shalom to everybody. Let's get to it, man. A lot to cover. I don't want to keep y'all waiting. So we're gonna start here. Let's blow this up, right? Going video heavy early off. Video heavy early off, right? And matter of fact, no. What am I doing? Shalaki. I don't never start nothing without a scripture first. So hold on. Let me back up out of there. Let me get back over here. Let's open up with a scripture. How about we go to Mark? I want to go to Mark. And let's look at Mark 13, and I want to start at verse 7, and we'll read down because this is all encompassed. Everything we're going to cover tonight pretty much is going to be encompassed within these next 6 to 7 verses. Okay. Let's start at verse 6. Mark 13:6 says, "For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, I am Hamashiach, I am Christ, and shall deceive many." He even had the Pope. He got smoked, on their so-called Easter. I mean, there's so much madness going on, man. They're getting ready to have this huge occult-like demonic ceremony to bury the dude, right? But you're gonna have many that's gonna come in the name of Mashiach Yahushua. They're gonna come in the name of saying they're the anointed, they're the ones that's got the truth, or whatever the case may be, right? It's gonna be a true tug of war, and people are gonna be deceived via wolves in sheep's clothing. Verse 7, "And when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled." So although we're going to be talking about multiple wars from Pakistan and India to Ukraine and Russia to NATO, Russia to the drug wars in Mexico, and you name it, race wars. We're going to hear about all these wars, rumors of wars. He said, "But be ye not troubled." This isn't the time to panic. This isn't the time to get frazzled. This isn't the time to have your faith be wavered. This is the time that you got to dig in, as Kobe would say, put your big boy pants on and get ready to face the music, because you can start hearing the music getting a little louder, right? It says, "For such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet." So we're not at the end yet. We're looking at the beginnings of the end. You want to talk about Jacob's trouble? You want to talk about the tribulation? You want to talk about the the tribulation that's to befall all of us? And and continues to. We're just seeing the beginnings of this. We're talking about the heat. You look at your stove and you got numbers on it from 1 to 7 or whatever the case may be. We're maybe on about a 2, 3, maybe 4, and it's going to continually get turned up. Verse 8, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are the beginnings of sorrows. So please, brothers, sisters, do not be like, this is it, it's the end. Brothers getting ran up out of, cities in Kenya, and the word's getting banned in France. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. And unfortunately, if we're not locked into faith, man, and we're not completely zoned in on our calling and our mission, according to the scriptures, and our faithfulness in Yahushua and the commandments, we're going to be swept away in these famines and troubles. That's a fact. Okay. Verse 9, but take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. So when the persecutions arise, these are testimonies. As we're going to be, some of us will be martyred, some of us are going to be defended and delivered, in the hands of our enemies, being brought before councils and courts, and the testimony of Yahushua will stand firm, as we get delivered out of particular situations, and to show that these prophecies are true. Okay. Verse 10, and the gospel must first be published among all nations. Why among? Because this is where the children of Israel are at. Let's look at Tobit real quick. And it said the gospel must be preached among all the nations, right? And why do it have to be preached among? This is why you let you know, man, the work must continue. We got to continually preach the word, instant, in season, out of season, as Timothy tells us. Because although we're going to see all of these things happen, we still have to complete the mission. Tobit 13, we're going to read 1 down to 3. Then Tobit wrote a prayer of rejoicing and said, blessed be the Most High that liveth forever, and blessed be his kingdom. For he doth scourge and have mercy. So yes, there's going to be scourging, there's going to be affliction, there's going to be persecution, there's going to be issues that arise that rub us the wrong way. But he says he's going to have mercy on us. He leadeth down to hell and bringeth up again. Neither is there any that can avoid his hand. Here's the key, verse 3. Confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them. This is why the gospel must be preached among the nations, because where are the children of Israel? Among them. The gospel is to be preached unto us, right? So with that being said, let's go ahead on and start looking at some of these things. Let's begin with wars, rumors of wars.
In Russia,
fair use if need be, but this is news coming out of News Now, I believe that the website is. Mainstream media could use as much help as they can to get some viewership. So, I don't even think they care if you're using fair use. They just praying that somebody's watching them. So here we go.
Ukraine war. Take a look at some of this video this morning as Volodymyr Zelensky did arrive over in South Africa. Now, we have learned that Ukraine's president is cutting short that official trip and returning home after a major Russian strike on the capital of Kyiv, with missiles and drones killing at least 9 people and injuring more than 70. Sadly, officials do say that number could rise.
Now we're picking this up from where we left off last week. Remember again, last week, what did Marco Rubio and Trump say? If we can't get a peace deal done, we're giving you within some days, we're just going to walk away and wash our hands up and walk. What did Putin do the next day? Oh, you giving me ultimatums? Oh, you think you're going to come in here and tell me what to do? Launch the drone strikes on Kyiv. Got body counts and all. And that lets you know that the strength of America is faltering and falling away. as we've been talking about for months on end now, and before that. But there's really a picking up of the nations now becoming more disgusted with this great horde known as America, becoming more rebellious to Babylon, becoming more insightful of having a willingness to raise up arms in defiance against America. Because when you're reading it, and like Jeremiah 50 and other scriptures, Revelation 18, Revelation 17, telling you about how the nations are going to mourn the smoking of America, how they're actually going to launch and have attacks on America. They're going to hate the whore. Obadiah tells us that, all those that were in league with him, they're going to, laugh and hiss at him and turn against him. That spirit now is being stirred up in the earth, and we see it. Leading by Russia. So at one point, you would think that, Agent Orange and Trump's voice meant something. Remember back in 2000, what was it? November 5th, 2024 on this campaign? I've got a very good relationship with Putin and very good with Xi Jinping, and the war ended in 24 hours. I have a very good relationship. I'll be on the phone. I know what to do. He had made millions of dollars off his book, Art of the Deal. They keep quoting that, talking about how he's such a hard line negotiator and, businessman, and gets everybody to bow down to his will. I can't tell. The tariff situation is backfiring on him. You got to remember, and I may have mentioned this before, but matter of fact, let's find out. You got to remember, he is a businessman, right? How many times has Donald Trump? Oh, see, this damn thing is reading my text and reading my mind. How many times has Donald Trump filed bankruptcy? Oh, Quick AI says what? Donald Trump has filed for business bankruptcy 6 times. 6 times he's admitted to failure. One more, he's in completion, and he's damn near doing it with the whole of America. These bankruptcies primarily involved his casino and hotel ventures in Atlantic City and New York. I mean, how can you fail 6 times money management, business acumen, 6 times, and people still keep giving you loans, keep giving you more business licenses, keep allowing you to get back into business again? You never fall off. You're the president twice over. I mean, I'll let you know this place is corrupt. Who gives a damn? Look at this. Fact check. Has Trump declared bankruptcy 4 or 6 times? 4 or 6? Both of them is multiple. Oh, we need to make sure. It wasn't 6, it was 4. That's better? Good Lord. Unbelievable, man. So you see what's going down, right? So the fact that we're seeing, and the MAGA hat legion, cult legion that he's got, they will not admit that this dude is off his damn rocker. He can do no wrong. No, he's doing everything right. He's making good on all his promises. Gas is down, oil is down, inflation's down, prices are down. Oh, he's making all the nations bow down to him. They're all calling him up, blowing his phone up, and he's got him right where he wants him. Really? Okay, we're gonna see. I can't tell just off of this.
Swiss Chalet's 2 can dine for $19.99 is here. Enjoy 2-quarter chicken dinners with 2 sides, 2 buns, and 2 chalet sauces.
The Russia-Ukraine war. Take a look at some of this video this morning as Volodymyr Zelensky did arrive over in South Africa. Now, we have Trump lashed out at Zelensky, accusing him of prolonging, quote, the killing field by refusing to surrender the Russian-occupied Crimea.
And you can see that he keeps saying, "Oh, Zelensky is," he remember they had the fight house where they got into the argument. They, was tripping on each other in what was supposed to be peace and business negotiations. That didn't end up right. So, Putin's got it out for Zelensky. He's saying it's his fault. Meanwhile, Putin is the one pushing the line, doing everything. when it came down to say all the tariffs, he didn't touch Russia. Let everything stay business as usual. You know, he's asking Putin for his permission for every damn thing. I can't tell this big bravado that Agent Orange, proclaims to have. He started off strong, but the way that the Spirit of the Lord is moving on America, there is no resurrecting this place. That's a testimony for everybody who believes in, especially our people, man. They was running around with these damn MAGA hats on and Trump president, blacks for Trump, Mexicans for Trump, and now a lot of them are even repenting of that, saying, damn, we shouldn't have voted for him. Even Candace Owens has came out saying that she's now regretting her vote. Candace Owens. She was bedwenching like a mug for the Republicans and for Trump and the whole nine. Even she has now repented and said, I shouldn't have, I don't know what I was thinking. He's attacking free speech. He's going after the colleges. This is the platform that I stand on, free speech, blah, blah, blah. What are we going to do? So this is a testimony that the Lord is going to constantly, matter of fact, let's get another scripture. Let's look at this in Isaiah 19. Is it 19? I think so. Yeah, Isaiah 19:1 says, the burden of Egypt, behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. So everything that America stood on, the dollar, that's one of its idols. The dollar has been depreciating ever since he stepped into office, and it was already going down under slow Biden. That hasn't stopped. He hasn't strengthened the dollar. It's gotten worse. They can talk about inflation. Is that 2.4%? He's got it down. It's supposed to be at 2%, so it's still up. It's still high. We can't tell by the threats of empty shelves and the prices of everything going up. The housing market is pretty much a wrap. Nobody's buying. Car market is a wrap. Nobody's trying to get into them cars because of the interest rates and they overcharge it for everything. The depreciation of your car once you leave the lot is skyrocketing right now. I mean, the stock market, there's no confidence in any of the above. So all of these idols, man, from the stock markets to the monetary system, his technological advance, everything that he's got is, the Lord said they're going to be moved at the presence of the Lord. So everything that he's got set up in his mind to where he believes and thinks that, I'm going to make America affordable again, great again, we're going to build back better. All of those things have faltered. And we're seeing it now because when he came in, everybody was riding high. Remember, after he got elected, crypto, everything boosted up. He was saying, thank me for your cryptos going up. The markets went up. Everything was great from November up until December, even early January. And everybody's like, look, he made good on his promise. Everything's great. Look what he's doing. We are going to be great again. And within 4 months, he got sworn in, January 20th? It's April 25th. So 4 months and 5 days, there's been a complete U-turn. That's how the Spirit of the Lord is moving on this place. Spiritual Egypt. Revelation 11:8. It says, and they shall be moved to his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. So, confidence, the mentality, the things that strengthen Egypt, the heart being the mind, the thoughts, the progressions, the philosophies, everything that America is coming forth. The Lord said, I'm going to melt it. I'm going to take all of those things away. Those things are all going to be done away with. There's not going to be any confidence in this place anymore. And this is what you're seeing. Remember last week, I shared an article where it said that America's losing billions of dollars because they're losing tourism. People aren't trying to come to America no more. Right? Verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother. So we've seen the left against the right, alt-right against the woke left. Satan casting out Satan. You're seeing the Edomite militias and the what do you call it? Those neo-Nazis. They're out doing their training. They try to march on that city over there in Ohio. Jakes came out, strapped up, ran them up out of there. They've held marches down in Tennessee to Orlando. The Edomites out there, trying to march and show their presence, and Jakes ain't having it. So we're seeing a division amongst the people. We're seeing fighting against each other. You're seeing it out in the streets with the protests and everything else, even from the Free Palestine protests going on. They just try to have a protest for the brother Carmelo Anthony. And, there's some Edomites that was mad because he got bailed out and all of that. And they try to organize a rally. They might have got maybe 10, 15 people there, if that. But they're trying to incite insurrection. They're trying to incite this particular concept of Egyptian against Egyptian, right? And everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. It's going to come down to that. But here's the key right here, verse 3. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. That's what we're dealing with. A failure in the spirit of America. This thing is pretty much a wrap, man. America had a stronghold at one point in time. America is no longer the superpower of the world. It's one of the, but it's not the most powerful anymore. The mystique and the strength of America is failing in front of everyone's eyes. And the world sees it. You seen the article I showed a few weeks ago. NATO was already talking about, hey, we got to move on from America. We got to start pulling together. We got to, figure out our defense spending bills. We ain't going to be able to count on this place anymore within the next 5 to 10 years. So the spirit is failing in the midst. And it says, and I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols and to the charmers and to them that have familiar spirits and to the wizards. So he's going to be going to, this is why you're seeing him recruiting in everyone from Elon Musk to the rest of his little warlocks and wizards and everybody else that he can try to get his counsel from. They're praying to Satan. You've seen his little speaker of the house, a white woman, praying before she went out and had a speech last weekend, saying it was for in the name of Jesus Christ. And you know what's Jesus Christ he's talking about? Caesar Borgia, the false idolatrous representation of the true Savior, the black man with white woolly hair and red eyes that came to save blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans from their plight here in captivity. They're going for broke for all of these things. And it's over with, right? So we see the mystique is falling, man.
Russia-Ukraine war. Take a look at some of this video. It's a first step to a negotiated peace, but that Russia's attacks, as you see there, had continued. While talks have been going on in recent weeks, Russia has hit another city, killing more than 30 civilians gathered to celebrate Palm Sunday. There's also been drone attacks, blasts with powerful glide bombs, a lot coming in. I do want to take you out to this post coming in a short time ago. This is actually from the Foreign Affairs Minister over in Ukraine. He did post a photo right there, and he says Russia launched a massive missile and drone attack on Ukraine, targeting civilians in Kyiv and other areas. Yesterday's Russian maximalist demands for Ukraine to withdraw from its regions, combined with these burial sites, show that Russia, not Ukraine, is the obstacle to peace. Moscow, not Kyiv, is where pressure should be applied. Ukraine's capital experienced a particularly...
So without playing the whole thing, you can already see the answer to America's quote-unquote threats of end the war now or we're walking away and you're going to have big trouble with us, led to more strikes, more bloodshed, more death, more bombings. The heart is failing in the midst of Egypt. Let's continue. Here's another one.
Wayday's coming. Wayfair's biggest sale of the year is back. So get excited to get up to 80.
The Trump administration is pressuring Ukraine and Russia to end their years-long war. If the two sides aren't able to make a deal soon, the administration is threatening to walk away from ceasefire talks. U.S. officials already pulled out of a planned meeting in London today after Ukraine signaled it wasn't on board with certain concessions. Specifically, Ukraine is against the proposal to concede Crimea to Russia. Plans are now in the works at the White House to women and family.
Well, hold on. Let's look at this headline again. See that at the bottom? Ukraine-Russia peace talks fall apart, right? How many times we had to go to this particular scripture to make this sink into the head of the stiff-necked Negro and Hispanic? What's that? That's known as 2 Timothy 5. Yeah, let's say second. Hey, bitch. I'm about drawing the blank. Yeah, 1 Thessalonians 5. Shalaki. 5 and 3. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. Well, what did we just get to see in that headline? Russia and Ukraine, peace talks fail. And what became of that? Sudden destruction. 6 dead, they said. Many more are going to be been injured from a new strike on Kyiv from the Russians. As travaileth upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. I mean, the Lord is telling us straight up. It's right there. Right? But the Jews require a sign. So there you go. There goes one. Let's continue. Let's look at another one. Now look at this. This just happened earlier this week. Terrorist attack in India. India closes its main border crossing with Pakistan after Kashmir attack. India has announced measures targeting Pakistan a day after 26 people were killed by gunmen at a Himalayan tourist attraction in Indian administered Kashmir. Now, what's his name? J.D. Vance, his wife is Elon. She's Indian. And they was just over there on some like personal family trip or whatever. They just missed being involved in this this quote unquote terrorist attack. So this is another way where you see, you know, war amongst the matter of fact, let me get this other scripture. This was in Ezekiel. I'll make sure I get the right one. I think it is 30. But the Lord said he's going to pour out his indignation against all the people. Let me see. I think it's Ezekiel 25. Let me see if it's 25. Not 25. Shalaki, give me 1 second. Let me mention the mango people. Jeremiah 25. I'm sorry. Let's see. Yeah, I said Ezekiel. It's Jeremiah 25. Yeah, let's start right here. 25 and 13 of Jeremiah says, and I will bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it, even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah had prophesied against all the nations, right? Verse 14, for many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to their works of their own hands. So the Lord said that he's going to pronounce their own judgments based upon their works, reaping what they've sown. Every nation has had the children of Israel in captivity. Just read the book of Judges. You're going to see every nation, they had their way with us. The East Indians, Elam, for sure, does not like you so-called Negroes. They're more racist. You know, you can make an argument, you know, between them, Moab, you know, nobody's worse than so-called white men. But there's some nations that's up there, man. Ishmael is up there. Ham is up there, right? So the Lord said that the recompensing of destruction is going to come against them according to their own works of their own hands. So their own people is going to be fighting. They're going to be fighting with each other. Remember Psalms 83? That was one of David's prayers. He asked, how long is he going to be before he judges these heathens? He asked the Most High to lay judgment on them. Where is it? Psalm 83. Yeah, verse 1. Keep that not thou silence, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace and be still, O Yahweh. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Right? So when you're looking at what's going on, let's go back to Jeremiah. This is judgment of the Lord when we're seeing these nations going at it with each other. When you see China and Taiwan going at it with each other, they're the same people. The Lord said he's going to recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands. Moab is fighting Moab. Russia and Ukraine, they're the same people. They're going to, face the same judgment. Pakistan and India, they're the same people. Both stemming out of Elam, right? They're going to face the same judgment. North Korea, South Korea, same people, right? The list goes on and on. The Lord's laying down judgment on these nations. Continuing on, verse 15. For thus saith Yahweh, power of Israel, unto me, take the wine cup of this fury at my hand, and cause all the nations to whom I have sent thee to drink it, and they shall drink it, and be moved and be mad because of the sword that I will send among them. Then took I the cup at Yahweh's hand, and made all the nations to drink unto whom Yahweh has sent me, to wit, Jerusalem and the cities of Judah and the kings thereof and the princes thereof, to make them a desolation and an astonishment and a hissing and a curse, as it is this day. Pharaoh king of Egypt and his servants and his princes and all his people. But look at this. And all the mingled people and the kings of the land of Uz and all the kings of the land of the Philistines, Askelon, Azar, and Ekron, and Remnant, and Ashdod, Edom, and Moab, and the children of Ammon, and all the kings of Tyrus, and all the kings of Zidon, and the kings of the isles, which are beyond the sea, Dedan and Timu and Buz, and all that are in the uttermost corners, and all the kings of Arabia, and all the kings of the mingled people that dwell in the desert. See, this is where you're getting into the various different tribes within the deserts, the mingled people. This is all judgment amongst all the nations, and this is continually throughout history as the Lord judges these nations. We're just seeing this now playing out again in 2025. Verse 25, and all the kings of Zimri, and all the kings of Elam, and all the kings of the Medes, right? So when you're reading and we're hearing about India and Pakistan going at it, 26 people killed by some gunmen in the Himalayan tourist attraction. We ain't talking about Jerome, old player from the Himalayas. No, we're talking about real. This is where people are supposed to be going for their peace retreats and tourist areas in the Himalayan mountains. Violence breaks out. 26 people killed, right? Sparking another war or rumors of wars between India and Pakistan. They include the closure of the main border crossing linking the two countries. Now watch this. There's the suspension of a landmark water sharing treaty. So now they killed a treaty of them being able to share water resources. So now you best believe there's going to be famines and droughts. People are going to be coming up short on their survival over there. The expulsion of diplomats, and an order for some Pakistani visa holders to leave within 48 hours. So in other words, India is kicking out any and all Pakistanis up out of their country. They can't trust nobody that's over there, right? But we've read and seen the instances where in Isaiah the 13th chapter will tell you that every man is going to flee to their own homes, right? In those particular areas. I mean, going back to their own lands, I should say. Second Ezra 15 says a man's going to desire to go in the city and not be able, right? Let's get that one real quick. Let's rise up. Here we go. 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. That's just one thing. We're seeing globally this thing going down, right? So let's read it again. They include the closure of the main border crossing, linking the two countries. So they've shut down the borders between the two. Pakistani, you supposed to stay over there. Elam and the rest of the East Indians, you stay over here. Shut off the borders and be no more crossing between the two. The suspension of the landmark water sharing treaty, the expulsion, the kicking out diplomats, and an order for some Pakistani visa holders to leave within 48 hours. So if Pakistanis are working or have a visa in India, job's over, you're up out of here, you're gone. 48 hours to leave the country. Pakistani officials have denied the country's role in the attack and are meeting on Thursday to come up with a response. As Foreign Minister said, the attack on Pahalgam was one of the deadliest in recent memory for the restive region and is threatening to aggravate already icy bilateral ties. Oh, shoot. This is out of order. At least I'm talking about the talking about this. But anyway, let's look at it. I'm gonna get back to the Indian thing, right? But after that bombing, and this is where I'm getting when I said it's out of order, because I thought I had this after that video of the Russian response with the bombings. This is how Trump responds, man. He jumps online to troll a bit. Like, he's falling right in line with the rest of these goofy people who think the internet is, a real place to get real act. Well, no, let me. I'm trying to figure out a way to say that without being offensive to people who rely on the internet for fellowship, for learning, and so forth and so on. I don't mean it in that way. I'm talking about the people who you can't argue or yell at a computer screen or typing something and expect like there's going to be a real response. This man is supposed to be the commander in chief of the so-called freest country in the world, the most powerful nation in the world, right? And he can't get this peace thing done. So what's he do? He goes and tweets. I mean, is he really trying to stop this thing, man? Instead of getting on the jack and calling and saying, "Look, man, we need to get this together. Look, we need an emergency meet up, whatever it takes. I'm willing to drop what I got going on. Let's sit down." No, what's he do? Send out a tweet expressing I'm not happy with this on his Truth Social. What's he say? His response is actions via Twitter fingers. I'm not happy with the Russian strikes in Kyiv. Not necessary and very bad timing. Vladimir, stop. He can't call him and say that. He can, And he utilizing caps. Orange man bad. Vladimir, stop. 5,000 soldiers a week are dying. Let's get the peace deal done. And how does Putin respond? Is he on Twitter? Is he, sending out tweets and X comments? Nah, he's getting busy. Look, Putin ignores Trump's Vladimir stop demand by launching lethal kamikaze drones. His reaction is what? Yeah, that's right. He posted a comment. He said he's from the golf course. Yeah, they did say, man, he's out there in them golf courses heavy. Heavy. He got a Big Mac in one hand and the golf club in the other hand. He loves KFC and McDonald's and all that. He don't give a damn. His response is tweet. And Putin says, "What? I'm not on Truth Social. I don't have an account. I'm not paying attention to tweets." Putin ignores Vladimir Putin. Stop. But that just shows you the lackluster attempts that they're having on quote unquote peace talks. And it shows you also, man, that the nations that aren't paying attention, aren't listening anymore. This is weak, man. As much as he was running around talking about how weak Biden is and how weak Biden has America looking, he's not doing any better at all. But again, that is attributed to what we just read in Isaiah 19, that the Lord said that the spirit of Egypt is going to fail. See his face, the red, white, and blue. Oh, that's over with, man. Ain't nobody caring about no. There's no patriotic nothing. It's all downhill from here. Stop. Putin's like, what? Launch the kamikaze drones, but ain't nobody listening to you. Moving on. Look how China is fueling Putin's war. So China, another arch enemy of America, they're supplying weapons to Russia. They're helping them within the war. Zelensky, remember a couple of weeks ago, he was like, look, we caught a couple of Chinese in the war. They're already invading. My thing was, how do you even know they were Chinese, man? You know, the Koreans is over there. They all look the same. They're from the same seed. He could have been lying. But look at this, revealed how China is fueling Putin's war. Beyond the detained soldiers, Beijing is sustaining Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine with military supplies. So China is helping Russia, right? This is how you know that even when it all boils down to the lines being drawn, who's standing where, and how it's going to all go down, China is going to stand in lockstep with Russia. A couple of years ago, you seen him and Xi Jinping and Putin shaking hands and talking about how close they were, and they best buddies and all that. Trump don't have that relationship as much as he's running around lying, talking about I got a great relationship with them. They listen to me. I can't tell. I seen a report, man. They said that he's made mention of Biden's name like 580 times since he's been in the office. You know, that's we all know slow Biden was just ridiculous and disgusting. But his job is to try to make himself not be as bad as him and continually blame slow Biden for everything, which he has a right to. Slow Biden was on the crash course of blowing this thing up, and the Biden crime family and everything that they had going on was wild. But let me see if I can find that report real quick. I think it was 580 times. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, your boy's memory is all right. Donald Trump mentions Biden's name over 580 times in his speeches. It's like he cannot say something without, and it's almost like a misdirection, because the bad taste in the mouth that slow Biden has left, as long as he keeps mentioning him, people are always gonna say, "Oh well, shit, he ain't as bad as Biden." Yeah, okay, let him keep going. Meanwhile, it's the same thing, and even worse in many aspects. But we see the BRICS nations, China, Russia, India, South Korea, Iran, all those nations that were coming together, Egypt, that they're getting along just fine, building up their armaments, stacking up gold, doing what they need to do. Sanctions aren't affecting them. And the writing is on the wall. So China is helping Russia, giving them weapons. Look, after 2 years of gathering ammunition on the battlefield and open source research, Ukraine is now coming forward with what it says is evidence to suggest that China has long been supplying Russia's army, not just from the outside country, but inside also. I think we'll be able to say in detail next week that we believe the Chinese representatives are engaged in the production of some weapons on the territory of Russia. said Volodymyr Zelensky, the Ukrainian president. For years, Beijing has denied supplying lethal aid to Russia, claiming it cannot control how third countries resell ammunition. So there you have it. China is working with Russia, supplying them with weapons, helping this war get throttled. And Zelensky's looking for any type of life vest at this point, hoping that NATO steps in or America steps in, and leave it to NATO. They're gonna try to do it. All right, let's continue. Russia wields nuclear threat as it attacks Ukraine, and Trump says Zelensky is inflammatory. Russia's Vladimir Putin and Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky face pressure from the U.S., which is threatening to walk away from its peace efforts unless some progress is achieved. As of right now, ain't no progress being achieved. The war is continually going on, full speed ahead. I guess I had this article twice. Yeah, I did. Well, no, this is kind of similar, same thing. This particular article regarding Pakistan and India, this was announcing this is the first article that I found regarding the so-called terrorist attack. The second article was the action that India took with them shutting down the border, canceling the water deal that they had, and then kicking out the Pakistanis. So the first one was this one. That's why I said some of these are out of order. But the first one was supposed to be this one, showing that the terrorist attack happened. The second one was the action that India took, right? But here's the next one. Pakistan issues war threat to India as the nuclear-armed rivals exchange fire on the border. So they're already shooting at each other. It's already getting linked up as far as gunfire exchanges. And here they are talking about both countries armed with nukes are prepared to go to war. They're already shooting at each other, shutting down the border, separating each other. This could get lit up too, you know? So we got to pay attention to this one as well. Wars, rumors of wars. Let's look at these tariffs, right? How's that been working out? How's that been working out? You seen the headline.
45% is very high.
Now, remember, he was talking big stuff. Big stuff, right? Let me turn this up a little bit.
45% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high.
So he lied. Did y'all just catch that? See, 145% is very high, and it won't be that high. Now, did he just openly lie to everybody? I believe so. Let's read this in Sirach 21:8. It says, "He that buildeth his house with other men's money gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial." This is why we're seeing these particular terrorists, man, are backfiring on it. Because what did he do? He threatened China and hit up all the nations and lit them up with heavy tariffs, and then he slowly but surely started backing down because what was it doing? It was affecting America's economy. All the American companies, the stock markets, the crypto, everything started crashing. The confidence in the dollar, the confidence in America's ability to continue doing business with importing and exporting continually failed. All the other nations were saying, well, you know what? We're going to, get back with our retaliatory tariffs on American products. Oh, this is going to affect everything that you got coming in to help sustain America. Because he's trying to build his house with other men's money. He can say, well, they've been doing it to us for years. It's time for us to get back. Clearly, that ain't how it's going to work because guess what? That's why the scriptures say that all the nations are going to live off of America. You can't talk about it ain't fair. They've been hitting us with high tariffs. Yeah, that's right. You're the mother of our harlots, man. You're the great whore that all of these nations are sitting up here sucking on the poison tits of the damn woman, getting drunk off the wine and the wrath of fornication, and they're over here waxing rich. So, of course, they're going to drain this place for everything they can. It's not going to be the other way around. All the nations are dependent upon America. That's what makes this place Babylon. That's what makes this place spiritual Egypt and Sodom. For all nations, this is Revelation 18:3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Everything that America has to offer, the imports, the exports, the glory, the money, the finances, the investments, the land, the buying of the bonds, real estate, Hollywood, you name it, they're all coming over here. The exporting of the liquors, the designer clothes, the cars. This is what they all depend on. And they're getting rich off of it. Trump thinks he had this great idea that he's going to thwart this prophecy and say, well, that isn't fair. They're all waxing rich off of us. It's time for us to get rich off of them. No, that's not how it works. That's why the Most High is collapsing this place, because he's thinking he is the Most High. He's going to thwart prophecy and judgment. No. Sirach 21:8 says, he that buildeth his house with other men's money is like one that gathereth himself stones for the tomb of his burial. Well, if you're building a house with other men's money, that means that you're utilizing debt, right? You're borrowing or you're taking from and utilizing someone else's money. Let's look at the debt clock. It's like if we're at $36 trillion in debt. $36 trillion currently, right? Which means that this is all based upon loans, bond markets, selling off of bonds, whatever else is going on. However, they've accumulated all these particular debts, all of the federal spending that they got, all of the budgetary needs that all the nations have. Well, when they create them budgets, they guaranteeing money to Israel, they're guaranteeing money to Japan, they're guaranteeing money to all these other nations, making sure that they're taken care of. And they've created massive amounts of debt. That's like if I get multiple credit cards, right? And I say, well, okay, I'm gonna go buy a Benz, I'm gonna put the down payment on my house and da. Like, yeah, I'm building with other men's money. That's not my money. They're loaning money to me with high interest rates. And then guess what? When I can't pay them back, I've buried myself in what? Debt. And guess what? Next comes bankruptcy. Next comes wage garnishments and the whole nine. This is what America essentially is in. So when he's trying to collect these tariffs and the whole nine and playing tough, it ain't working. This is why he's backing down now, walking it back. Remember, he was talking crazy. Yeah, we're out here getting this money. We're going to tax these nations. They're calling. They're ringing my phone off the hook. They're all coming back, begging me to stop. Let's hear him again.
145% is very high, and it won't be that high. It's not going to be that high. I'm not going to say, well, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice.
Oh, we're going to. Was this how we was talking when they called it, what did they call it? Liberation Day? When he was declaring, I'm taxing all the nations. And China was like, no, we ain't having it. Oh, you don't like it? Okay, we're going to give you even more tariffs, more taxes. It was at 200 and some percent at one point. But now you see he was trolling, as they say. Talking big online, and then when it all comes down to it, man, he ain't serious. He's a woman play hardball with China. That's the way you told the people you was gonna be. Well, I'm gonna tell them. Oh no.
No, we're gonna be very nice. They're gonna be very nice, and we'll see what happens.
His good relationship was he's constantly saying that. He's lying.
My relationship with President Xi is great. It's been great for a long time. We've had a very good relationship, and I think we'll make a deal with China.
He says, I emphasize that no one is in the trade war, right? Yeah, we know this. I think China is number one in the export market. America might be number 2, and then I think Africa or somewhere is number 3. If I'm not mistaken, I can't recall. But that's why they're saying nobody wins, because they're both heavily involved and relying upon each other for success. Right. But you see how the tone has changed? See how the tone has changed?
Something about
That's how you know. Remember last week?
Call it art of the deal or a total 180, but President Trump's approach to trade talks with China just changed from this:
China needs to make a deal with us, we don't have to make a deal with them,
to this.
No. Did you hear that? That's his speaker. That's the White House speaker. I forgot her name. But this is what she was told to go out there and say. China needs to make a deal with us. We don't need to make a deal with them. Was that the truth or was that a lie? We'll let them say.
Just changed from this:
China needs to make a deal with us, we don't have to make a deal with them,
to this.
I'm not going to say, oh, I'm going to play hardball with China. I'm going to play hardball with you, President Xi. No. We're going to be very nice. It's going to be fair.
Are you talking to them actively now?
Actively. Everything's active.
Treasury
See how he didn't answer that? He said, are you talking to them actively? Everything's active. That's the snake like fork tongue of the white man. That's the quote unquote white lie. I didn't say we wasn't talking to him. I said actively. I mean, everything's active. Like, you just saying these old blanket statements. He's out here playing games. But we're seeing like they just said in the video, 180. This is why people are jumping off of the MAGA plantation and all of that. And they all talking about, I can't believe it. I thought he was going to go out here and play tough. He told us he was going to do that. He promised us. And now you're seeing skin peeling off, and you seeing the scales and the reptilian nature and the forked tongue of this president, man. He can't help it though. Remember, he said, I tell the truth when I can. Psalm 58:3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear, which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely. So they won't listen to reason, understanding, truth, the whole nine. They won't be led by anything but lies. And that's what he's doing. Let's get back up here. So we watched this one.
Call it art of the deal or a total 180, but President.
Let's continue. All right. Now, this is something else. And there was a video too. One of the brothers just shared earlier, and they had a brother on, I don't know if he was on Instagram, TikTok, or something like that. And he made a statement saying that they suspended quality control for the FDA for everything. That wasn't true as far as I've been able to research. So it's milk, which is still serious. Still serious. That the quality control testing program for Trump, because of layout, they're suspending quality control over milk. So they're not going to be having the same quality control and checks for milk as they once were able to. So milk drinkers out there, beware, because the FDA is not quality controlling the milk right now. Effective Monday, the agency suspends its proficiency testing program for grade A raw milk and finished products. The Food and Drug Administration is suspending a quality control program for testing fluid milk and other dairy products due to reduced capacity in its Food Safety and Nutrition Division, according to an internal email seen by Reuters. So, number one, here they are talking about now they're going to reduce or not even have and suspended quality control food programs for milk and dairy products. And this is one of the things that they've been talking about that's coming via the bird flu. Coming through dairy, what are they saying? Cows is, getting infected and all this other stuff. And then you wondering why they keep pushing this next quote unquote virus coming down the pipeline. Then you're wondering why you're hearing about multiple food recalls. We've been talking about recalls damn near every week for like the last 6 months or more. All of those food processing plants within the last 2-3 years that mysteriously were burning down and getting caught up as they're getting ready to try to change the quality of food and quality of things that we're all intaking. I mean, good Lord, man, if Yahweh Shah didn't tell us in Mark the 16th chapter, man, that we're going to eat poison and live, that we'll be able to continue to sustain ourselves through the faith. If Ezekiel, the 4th chapter, didn't say that we're going to eat out of foul bread amongst the Gentiles, I mean, if that ain't the truth, I don't know what is. Because here they are already acknowledging that they're getting ready to downgrade. If the food wasn't already, bad for us in many aspects, they're getting ready to reduce it even worse now. Look at it. The suspension is another disruption to the nation's food safety programs after the termination and departure of 20,000 employees of the Department of Health and Human Services, which includes the FDA, as part of Donald Trump's effort to shrink the federal workforce. The FDA this month also suspended existing and developing programs that ensured accurate testing. Look at this, for bird flu in milk and cheese and pathogens like the parasite Cyclospora and other food products. Now you can see the video I played last week when Bill Gates was talking about, oh, this one, the next one's going to get everybody's attention. And his wife grinning, or his ex-wife grinning. Fauci running around talking about what's coming down the pipeline. 60 Minutes just did a report last Sunday about the threats of bird flu and this being the next pandemic, and everybody better get ready and watch out. As they're, look, man, let's read Psalms. He's telling you, I'm getting ready. Good Lord, this guy's the devil for real. He's telling you, I'm getting ready to lower the standards. I'm suspending, and I'm suspending quality control over something that should be more highly regulated because a quote unquote pathogen or a bird flu is coming through. This means instead of heightening up and sharpening up the quality control over something where a virus can come through, you're getting rid of the quality controls that can help stop this thing. Does that make sense to you? Look, Psalm 64 days, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. They're going to make their own confessions, fall upon themselves, right? They're going to acknowledge and say what they're going to do. And the wise say all that see them are going to flee away. When he starts talking this and you start seeing this, and 2 and 2 is adding up to 4, and all, look, this is the white guilt that makes him come out, and he don't even realize he's saying, look, bird flu, this, that, and the third is coming through these means, and I'm getting ready to stop quality control. I'm not going to try to stop it. So get ready. And there you have it. Another thing. All right, let's continue. Now, here we go. This is regarding the situation with IUIC. Like I said, man, love them or hate them, man. Those are our brothers. And like I said, my thing in times past when we had our old congregation, we had run-ins with the brothers, and we peaceably chopped it up and got it straightened out. Ain't had no problems with the brothers since personally, And like I said, you can't argue with results. But here they go. Right? Here's a video. If y'all haven't seen it, this is the video that they put out regarding them being banned in France.
Hey yo, IUIC just got banned in France. And here's why. Le Parisien put out an article stating that Israel United in Christ is prohibited in France. The article states the IUIC, the French branch of an American association of the same name, promotes a message according to which Black, Hispanic, and Native American population are the real Israelites. says the government in its decree. A de facto anti.
Now, if you notice here, this is part of the publication. This is part of the reason why. Now it says, why are they getting? Because they promote a message that uplifts Black, Hispanic, and Native American population of us being the real Israelites. You can't do that. Remember 10, 12 years ago that the Homeland Security put out a document talking about Black identity extremists are now identified under, a possible terrorist group. The fact that you want to identify yourself, a Black identity extremist, someone who identifies or finally wakes up to who they are, you're an extremist now. You're going too far trying to figure out who you are. Wait a minute, you're taking the veil off. Wait, you're waking up. Oh, well, that's extreme now. Come on. You're supposed to be a little dumb, ignorant, dumbed down nigga and spick. This is what we need you to continue to be. What are you doing waking up? That's extreme. This is what they're out here promoting, right? So, based upon doctrine, they're saying, look, because they're out here promoting this doctrine, it's a problem.
Native American population are the real Israelites, says the government in its decree. A de facto anti-Semitic speech to which.
And Uziel Khan, you're right. I don't drink milk either. I don't drink either. However, I do like ice cream. There's milk in that. I need cheese. There's dairy in that. So if you're dairy free and all that, hey, I get it. We had a conversation last week after the Sabbath about lactose. A lot of Israel is lactose intolerant. So something's going on with that milk, man. And we just got to be wise in regards to, you may not drink directly milk, but there's other means of dairy that they can slide this stuff up in there, man. So you got to regulate every facet of your diet. So let's continue on.
Which are added multiple calls for violence and hatred in other communities, which earned him this dissolution pronounced on Wednesday. So since IUIC teaches that the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the indeed Israelites, according to Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26, Jeremiah 17:4, that truth has now become a hate speech.
And there was a statement that what's the name put out. Let me see if I can find it. I think a brother had texted to us in our text group. Let me see. I want to read this to y'all. Where was that at? Slacky, give me 1 second. It just popped in my head because I remember, I think they put a statement out regarding what they can and can't say or do. Yeah, here we go. It says, the text is pretty small on this thing. Get that, my eyes getting worse. It says government, its legal status no longer exists, and therefore, no IUIC members cannot legally meet as IUIC France under Article L2121 of the Code de la Sécurité Intérieure or whatever. When an association is dissolved, all official activities are banned, including religious services, public or private gatherings, proselytism, and teaching sessions under the name or structure of the dissolved group. So the France government dissolved IUIC as an organization. It says that they now cannot have religious services, public or private gatherings. They can't proselytize, meaning they can't convert anybody, and teaching sessions under the name or structure of the dissolved group. So that 4-letter acronym can no longer exist in France. Any attempt to reconstitute the dissolved group, even informally or under a different name, is illegal and can result in criminal prosecution. So even if they came back and said, okay, IUIC is going. This is IUIC revamped. You can't do that. You can't say Christ's Israel is united. Like you can't. They can't even come. It's the doctrine is what they don't want anymore. It says even individuals meeting privately can be prosecuted if the purpose of the meeting is to continue the group's ideology or mission. Let me read that again. Even individuals meeting privately can be prosecuted if. Now, how would they know that you're meeting privately? Unless they either got some people on the inside reporting, they're being monitored or followed. Let me slow this down for a second. They're being monitored or followed, or they're going to get knocks on the door. You're meeting, hey, what's going on? Shakedowns. We're going to get that in the scriptures in a minute. You know, Paul was going door to door, persecuting, dragging people out the house. Because that's how Israel was meeting. Israel was meeting, you know, if you wasn't in the synagogues or whatever the case may be, a lot of churches and those are, you know, being turned over to Christ, they were meeting and having Bible sessions at the home. I think Romans 15 tells us various homes were being saluted as they were meeting. So, you know, this is common. But it says now even individuals meeting privately can be persecuted. I'm gonna say persecuted because that's really what it is. Prosecuted if the purpose of the meetings is to continue the group's ideology or mission. The group uses symbols, dress codes, rhetoric, or materials related to IUIC. So listen to this. Even individuals meeting privately can be prosecuted if the group uses symbols or dress codes. So now they're saying you can't wear fringes. The group uses symbols, so the logo, the colors, dress codes, like you can't wear fringes over there, or they're gonna come questioning you, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Rhetoric or materials related to IUIC. The gatherings is organized by or for the former IUIC France community with a clear link to its infrastructure, to its structure. Now, this is IUIC's response saying what members can do. They can meet privately as individuals as long as there's no link to IUIC. So the only thing they can say is we're no longer part of IUIC. We're just having a private Bible study at our homes. However, but guess what? If you're going in there, you're teaching the same doctrine, you're out of here. So even if you're meeting privately, what are you going to sit down and have croissants and you know, coffee at the coffee shop? And as soon as you get to kicking doctrine, as soon as somebody over here, oh, what? It's a problem. No religious teaching or propaganda and no organization or hierarchy. Any rebranding or informal regrouping with similar content, e.g. under another name or online, could be treated as a, quote, reconstitution de groupe dissous, which is punishable under French law up to 3 years of prison and a 45,000 euro fine. In short, no public or private gatherings as IUIC France, and that's exactly what I quoted earlier. Says 2 Maccabees chapter 6, that's for sure, right? It says no public or private gathering as IUIC France, even meeting every Saturday in recognizable pattern where former members could be seen as continuing the group. So you can't even keep Shabbat together. You can't even hold the Sabbath. Authorities will likely monitor such gatherings, especially if they're promoted online or resemble previous IUIC formats. Can you imagine? That's why I said, like them or hate them, you can't argue with results, man. The brothers is doing the work, and they're suffering for Christ's sake. And this is the doorway that's leading into, you know, famine of the word, things of that nature, right? Because you got to remember, France is a leading voice in the European Union. France, Germany, the UK, but France is really like the mouthpiece of the EU right now. So what France says, a lot of other countries is going to follow suit. So I know brothers got camps in the Netherlands, Germany, and other places. It might not be. I don't know. What some other brothers' camps are and their statuses are, but I've seen. When we was at True Nation, we had a camp in the Netherlands at one point, and I know brothers out there in Europe. I've seen IUIC. They had brothers in. They got people all over the damn place, but I've seen them in Germany. I've heard other brothers. I think GMS got people in the UK and Netherlands. Israel is all over the place. But once France starts pushing this, now it could be an issue for other countries that follow suit, right? So 2 Maccabees 6:6 says, "Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient fasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew." Yeah, this is what it's leading to right now. Let's look at what happened during the time of Acts. First of all, hold on. Let's look at Galatians 1. Let's see what Paul was saying. Galatians 1:13 says, "For ye have heard of my conversation in time past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of God and wasted it, and profited in the Jews' religion above many my equals in my own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers." So when Paul was raised as a Pharisee, man, anything that went against the traditions and the ways of the Pharisees, he was not having it. And there was vast persecutions going on. There was, various diasporas of the Jews and expulsions of the Jews under Rome. Rebellions under Rome around 66 AD. They had major rebellions between the Jews and Rome. Pre that, you had, various times that the Jews was, the Romans would be like, man, they're getting uppity again, kick them about, get them out of here. And we constantly had to be moving on the run, and then they'll let us back, so it's constantly be like a up and down yo-yo, in regards to the Jews' plight being amongst the Romans, right? Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me get this back up. Okay. So let's get back over here. So Galatians, you see Paul said that he persecuted the church heavy. That was anybody that was, anybody proclaiming, Yahushua, anybody going against the traditions of the Pharisees or whatnot, it's going to be a problem, Let's look at 9:5. It says, "And whosoever will not receive you, when you go out of that city, shake off the very dust from your feet for a testimony against them." So, this is what ends up happening. That there's going to be places and cities that they ain't going to be received. When I seen that video of him over there in Kenya, I don't know what city or province they was at, but they was out prophesying and teaching in front of some churchmen. They start talking about the white Christ and I'm damn. I know some Kenyans over there is Israel, because I had a relationship with some, and they was again a part of True Nation when we were True Nation. Then I lost contact with some of them. I don't, to my knowledge, they're not a part of them anymore either. I maintained communication with them when we moved on, but there is some Israel that's in Kenya. But the way them Kenyans over there, they could have been ham or who knows what, but they was wilding out. If y'all seen this video, many of y'all may have seen it. It went pretty viral. They was throwing rocks. Police hit the smoke, the little we call them little frag bombs or whatever, the smoke bombs. Hit them with that, ran them about that city, right? And that's what ends up happening. But we're seeing what's going down there in France. They doing the same thing. And Yahweh said, well, if they don't receive you, man, get up out that city, shake the dust off your feet as a testimony against them. Because that's what it's going to lead to, is it's going to heap more coals of fire on their heads. right? And no marvel, Yahweh told us in St. John 15:18, if the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love his own. But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you. Yeah, you got to wonder, man, if Yahweh held this big, I love everybody Christian mystique, why did they put him to death? Why was he persecuted? Why were they chasing him out of cities? You know, if you're coming with a message of love. No, he was talking. He got arrested for being accused of sedition, meaning what? That he was coming up against the government. He was going against the status quo. He was a rebel, and that's exactly what we are. When we stand on them corners, on the highways and the byways, and online, and whatever the case may be, teaching the word and going hard in the pain for the Lord, like this is what ends up happening when we're not accepted. People don't like that because we're teaching things that are against worldly, fleshly customs and so forth and so on, traditions. You know why people are pissed off and mad because we keep telling them stop celebrating Easter and the idolatry that's involved with it and the paganism and everything else. You can't tell them that, man. You can't tell them, hey, you know what? I'm not shedding not one tear over the Pope that passed away at all. This guy was out here pardoning and opening up the doors for sodomy and gay marriage. And we already know the legacy of the Catholic Church regarding the papal bulls and the doctrine of discovery and everything else that they done did, the persecutions, the Spanish Inquisitions, the destruction that they've caused, the lies that they perpetrated, the idolatry, you name it. They're not dropping one damn tear. The Jesuits taking over all the multiple schools and institutions, the Spanish conquest of, I mean, the list goes on. When you tell that to a devoted Catholic man, they want your head. Don't you say that about Papa. How dare you? He was a man of God. That's when the world hates you, right? And brothers is out there doing what they need to do, man. You know, and this is how I know it's even of a more extreme. You know, throughout my years in the truth, yeah, brothers have been questioned by the police, detained by the police. Some brothers have been arrested, been released. Brothers in had, you know, I remember back in the days, there was another camp that was out here at the time, Brothers of Shield of Wisdom, and they was teaching downtown in Pasadena. And one of the brothers, Zion Allen, I think he got arrested. A couple of them brothers got arrested because somebody went on top of the roof of a movie theater and poured hot butter, and tried to pour hot butter on brothers. And of course, obviously, all hell broke loose. But you know, who they blame? Oh, the Israelites. Lock them jakes up. Now we're seeing where brothers is getting stoned, smoke bombed, ran out of cities, completely banned out of whole countries. So you see the escalation of persecution, banning of teaching of the word, so forth and so on. It's only heightening and even more extreme. You know, like I said, just from personal experience and seeing it, I can see where it's getting worse and worse. Because I was there or been involved or had to, you know, negotiate and come up out of situations where the police was involved in various instances with us teaching and, you know, threatenings of fines because we had amplified sound on the streets and threatening to confiscate our equipment and, you know, leave here because we're getting noise complaints and people want you out of here and all kind of madness. We've had various instances, man, and I seen Aladad on here. You remember when them cops rolled up on brothers and was questioning. They said, "Oh yeah, son of Jake, yeah, we know you, brother. We know such and such," and start name dropping. So the surveillance is in full effect. They got the files. They know who's who, who's doing what, and who's active, and who's shaking and moving within this movement. Elder Rashab has his own testimony. There's a brother that was following him around in I think it was CVS or a particular store. I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think he ain't got other choice. But the brother ended up stopping him outside when they get to the parking lot. The brother told him that he was working undercover for yeah, see, you remember? You see, brother said by Krispy Kreme, absolutely on King and Crenshaw. Cops wrote it down. Yeah, we know you. Such blah 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 blah. Name dropping. Elder Rashab had an incident with brother following him around in the store, seen his fringes, this, that, and the third. Stopped him it was CVS. There you go, right there. The elder could talk about it. CVS. Brother popped up on him. Got to talking about the fringes, how he knew what was happening, this, that, and the third. Said he was working undercover. I don't know if it was Department of Homeland Security, FBI, something like that. And he told them, watching brothers, this, that, and the third. Be careful out there, whatever the case may be. This is how you know how you want to see it. And when they're threatening, saying, "Hey, you better watch what you're doing if you're having private gatherings at home," like they already know. They already got people in place to say, "Yeah, they're meeting in such and such house. Roll up on them." I got the word. I got the message. Here's the information. I've been saying it for years, man. Israel has been infiltrated. There's agents all throughout in every organization. You can guarantee. I ain't gonna say everyone. The major ones for sure. What's making it hard for them is there's so many cancer splinters, groups going around. They can't keep up with everybody, but they're going for the main players first. Look at this. Acts 7:58. It says, "Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears and ran upon him with one accord." So this is, Stephen's persecution. The Jews, everybody, they want to hear, Stephen no more. They ran upon him with one accord. And what they do? They cast him out of the city and stoned him. And the witnesses laid down their clothes at a young man's feet whose name was Saul. And they stoned Stephen, calling upon the Most High, saying, "Lord Yahweh, receive my spirit." And he kneeled down and cried with a loud voice, "Lord, lay not this sin to their charge." And when he had said this, he fell asleep. So Stephen got stoned to death. But who was there? Paul was there. And they said they took the clothes and laid them at his feet. So Paul was a witness. We sat back and let it go down. Paul was a man of authority at the time. He said, "Man, go ahead. Stone him. I'm persecuting the church anyway." Let's look at the next chapter 8. And look at this. Verse 1. "And Saul was consenting unto his death." So Paul said, "Yeah, put him to death." "And at that time, there was a great persecution against the church, which was at Jerusalem." Now watch this. "And they were all scattered abroad throughout the regions of Judea and Samaria, except the apostles. And devout men carried Stephen to his burial and made a great lamentation over him." Now, look at this. "As for Saul, he made havoc of the church, entering into every house and hailing men and women, committing them to prison. Therefore, they that were scattered abroad went everywhere preaching the word." So what did they end up doing? Causing people to scatter out and continue preaching the word. They didn't tuck tail, they didn't hide, they didn't run, they didn't say, "But look at this, it's hit the fan. This the time we got to hide out. We can't do." No, they kept it going. But you see what they was doing? Paul said, man, they were jumping. He was going in their houses, raiding homes. Just like we seen there in France. They were saying, "Look, you having private meetings at the house and all that, we're coming in." Persecution, 3 years in jail or a $45,000 fine. That's how they're rolling. Let's look at the next chapter. And this is how you know that it's going to spread. "And Saul was yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest." So you just seen heavy threatenings through that letter and the mandates and penal codes from France. Guaranteed, they got the same thing going on in Kenya. And other countries in Europe are going to be taking note. Look at this. And desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogue. So look, they started persecution in Jerusalem, Samaria. Paul said, I want to send some letters out to Damascus. I need this to spread the persecution of the Jews. And desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. So he sent letters to Damascus. He said, listen, wherever you at, I need this to continue on and spread. Just so you can kind of get an idea. Let's see where we're. Oh, this is decent enough. Now you see here, this is where it started. Right down here, Jerusalem and Judea, right? Persecution, we just got to read it, right? And what did it say? And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Lord, went unto the high priest and desired of him letters to Damascus. He said, I need letters to go out to Damascus, to the synagogue, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem. He said, lock them up. So starting here, down here in, starting down here in Jerusalem, sent letters. He went all the way up here to Samaria, Galilee, going all the way up to Syria, all the way up here to Damascus. Now, you notice here, Syria is right here. This is a whole nother country. Fleeing as it travels over here to Arabia. You know, you read in Galatians, the word traveled all the way to Arabia as well. But look, it starts in one place and then it spreads. That's why I said you got to be careful. We got to watch this because we know that France is a major voice in the EU, and they could easily have it implemented. Oops. They could easily have this implemented in other countries to follow suit. This could be law mandated as part of the European Union. And all the countries over there get in a line, and it becomes a problem. So this is real time persecution at its finest, right? So we know about Amos. Amos 8 and 11. It says, behold, the days come, saith the Most High Yahweh, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Most High. So eventually there is going to be a famine of hearing the word of the Lord. This could just be the gateway, the one thing that sparks everything to go down. Lord only knows, right? 2 Ezra 5 says, nevertheless, as coming the tokens, behold, the days shall come. The day which shall dwell upon the earth shall be taken in great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of faith. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. So there's going to be a time when the land is going to be barren of truth. The words of the Lord is going to be taken. The famine of the word is going to be kicking in. So, you know, some may say, hey, that happened in 70 AD. You can make that argument. I wouldn't fight too much against it, but is that the spark that led to the famine of the word? Well, we can't say that because we see a resurrection of the word when the seal was broken, you know, around 1970, and the word started expounding. You know, Daniel 12 tells us that knowledge is going to increase and man is going to run to and fro. So there's going to be an increase of the word. Now there's going to be a prophecy to where it actually is going to be dissipating, and there's going to be a famine. And we're seeing some of the writing on the wall right now. Very serious things, man. Keep them brothers in your prayers, and all of Israel, man. All the brothers that's out there, risking it all for the Lord's sake and for the furthering of the gospel. You really have to be dedicated to get out there and do what we do, right? And it's all for the nation, it's all for salvation, it's all for the love of Mashiach Yahushua and the Most High. But we see here, the walls is definitely closing in. Let's continue. Now, look at this. We've been talking about this for a long time now. Here it is. Quiet panic as National Rental Assistance Program set to run out of cash. How many times we say, hey, what's going to happen when people that's on Section 8, people that live, EBT, so forth and so on, that depend on that money when that pot runs dry? What's going to happen? See, we've been talking about it for a long time, and people think, oh, we over here BS, and you don't know. Oh, we got time. Okay. Quiet panic as National Rental Assistance Program is set to run out of cash. Look at this. A $5 billion pot of federal money set aside to help people on the verge of homelessness pay the rent is running out of cash, and no one has a plan to keep the roughly 60,000 renters, more than 15,000 of them in California, from losing their housing after the last dollar is spent. News of the imminent expiration of the emergency housing voucher program came in March 6th. Letter the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development sent to local public housing authorities, the agencies that administer federal rental housing assistance programs. A final payment this spring may allow some agencies to keep their emergency programs running in 2026. The letter reads, but housing authorities were advised to move forward with the, quote, expectation that no additional funding from HUD will be forthcoming. No additional funding from HUD will be forthcoming. So there is a crisis going on with rental assistance programs. That could be Section 8. That could be affordable living houses for low-income families. That could be, low-income senior homes. People that needed housing vouchers for the homeless, you're getting a voucher that you find a low income spot, you can use your voucher to go move in there. That's about to run out. 60,000 renters nationwide, 15,000 of them is in California. And they said they ain't got there's no additional funding coming down the pipeline to make sure people got their homes, bro. So for mama that's at home with 4 kids, and she's got EBT, WIC, and everything else to sustain herself. She hasn't got no skills together to get out there and try to find a job. Mind you, the job market is shot. There's ghost jobs all over the place, man. You're calling, you're applying all over the place. Ain't nobody calling you back. Everybody's saying that they hiring. You go in, you ask for application. They tell you go online. Ain't nothing happening there. I mean, even if you wanted to work, it's slow out there. It's slow out there. Layoffs galore. There's more layoffs than there are people, job openings. Leave it to Trump. He talking about industry's coming back. We're making America great again. Jobs is coming back on shore. Yeah, and when? It's going to take a little time. Yeah, maybe 2-3 years for you. You got people living check to check, man. Week to week, day to day. You think they can wait another 2-3 years? When this money runs dry and these people is out here on the streets? No. But this is it. Let's continue. Student loans in default will be referred to debt collection next month. Trump's DOE says, here they go. They're talking about if under slow Biden, they was doing student loan deferrals or student loan, you ain't got to pay them back. Trump come in, he like, look, we want that money. If you ain't got it, you're going to default. We garnishing your wages. We doing whatever we need to do. We want that money. So the rich get richer, the poor gets poorer, and even homeless. The Department of Education announced Monday that it will resume collections on student loan debt next month, including by garnishing the wages of borrowers in default. So now you ain't gonna you can't have a legal job now because they're gonna tax you. Now you gotta live like you know, the dude that's running from his child support. They got to get all these under the table jobs because any job that he gets, the government's coming for it. And they taking that money right away. So imagine how that's going to work with people already living under distress before they even touch wage garnishments, already in debt with credit cards, you know, facing um, uh, bankruptcy, eviction, repos, you name it. Already got that going on. And now you say we're going to take even more out your check. You already can't survive off what you're making. We're going to take a little bit more of that because you decided to go, you know, go to one of our institutions and we charge you $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for a degree that you can't even use anymore in many cases. And now we want that money back. Can you imagine? Collections collections which have been paused since March of 2020 will resume on May 5th and are expected to impact roughly 5.3 million borrowers currently in default on their federal student loans. American taxpayers will no longer be forced to serve as collateral for irresponsible student loan policies, Education Secretary Linda McMahon said in a statement. Yeah, that's Jim McMahon. I mean, what's his name? Vince McMahon's wife. She's shaking everybody down for them student loans. So just imagine, look at this. The Biden administration misled borrowers. The executive branch does not have the constitutional authority to wipe debt away, nor do the loan balances simply disappear. So more debt for more people. They already taken away the housing programs, saying they ain't getting no money, man. And you know, all of this is going to impact brothers and sisters, man. Let's keep it real. The persecution just ain't just brothers out there teaching. The everyday Joe Schmo, Negro, and Hispanic and Native American that's running around here living check to check, hustle to hustle, is getting hit upside the head too. All right, let's move on. Look, Trump softens tariff tone, empty shells warning market slumps. Okay, back to the economy again. So because he's seeing these tariffs and it's causing more issues, more problems, and it's doing more damage than good, he's sliding back, he's moonwalking, saying, hold on, we're not going to be tough on China. What am I going to do? Shake all that now. But guess what? The damage is done. It's too late because China ain't backing down. China stepped up. Now look at this. The CEOs of three of the nation's biggest retailers, Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, privately warned him. This is private company. It ain't private now because they're coming out public. But they was telling Trump, look, the issue's about to hit the fan. You jacking us up. And you're getting ready to cause a gang of problems. So what they tell him? Privately warned him that his tariff and trade policy could disrupt supply chains, raise prices, and empty shelves, according to the sources familiar with the meeting. You know how Negroes love Walmart and Target. When them prices go up, the shelves is going to get empty. We're going back to the COVID days when, you know, you couldn't find stuff in the stores no more. And worse. That's what they're threatening. The big box CEOs flat out told him the prices aren't going up. They're steady right now, but they will go up. And this wasn't about food. But he was told that shelves will be empty. An administration official familiar with the meeting told Axios. Another official briefed on the meeting said the CEOs told Trump disruptions could become noticeable in 2 weeks. While that was happening, financial markets were slumping, stocks, bonds, the dollar, as investors panicked about Trump's latest threats to oust Fed Chair Jerome Powell and step on the central bank's independence. So this is why you see him moonwalking on them tariffs, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna calm down on China. You know, the other countries we got to keep an eye on them, but it ain't gonna be too heavy." You know, now he's backsliding. Now as much as he was talking about slow Biden, how weak he was. Like I said, he ain't looking too strong either right now because he's seeing his backfiring and things going to slump, but it's too late. It's way too late. So they're talking about within 2 weeks, supply chains getting disrupted, shelves getting empty, housing, afford what is it? Housing assistance running dry on money. They already, laying off the FDA quality control for milk and dairy. I mean, this place is going down like they say, well, somebody with gasoline draws on the hell or whatever the hell they say that, whatever that old saying is. But I mean, this is really what's going down. Israel got to strap up, man. Get ready. Strap in that seatbelt because this ride ain't about to be too smooth. Yeah, that's for real. Let's continue. Look at this. Year over year, trucking activity out of Los Angeles is down 23%. It will likely drop to 50% in coming weeks if there isn't a trade war resolution. Now, mind you, the shortest, I think they said the shortest trade war like negotiation was like 6 months or something like that. And that was between America and some other small little country. America's got tariffs on over 100 some odd countries. Most of these tariff wars last years. Okay, I got to prove this. I got to prove it. Hold on. Let's see. How long was the shortest trade war? Hold on. This is regular wars. No, I want trade wars. See, look at this. China can't win a trade war. That was April 7th. Now we're seeing 20 days later, and Trump is the one backing down. This is why you can't trust these damn bastards. U.S. Colombia roll over tariffs to be the shortest trade war. I want to see what the longest one is. Let's see if we can find a list. Let's see what's in China. I can't remember where I saw it, but they were saying that most of these trade wars on average is going to last 2-3 years. Some last 10, 15 years. There is no, it's just going to take a couple weeks, man. We're going to get everything back on track. No. You're talking about being in it for the long haul when you're really looking at it. I can't remember where I found that at, but nonetheless, there was a chart in the article that was talking about various tariff wars, and like I said, the shortest one was like some months. The majority of them last years. And Hashima says, true, some store shelves are already empty out here. Yeah, that's a fact. You start looking in the stores, you're gonna start seeing they ain't too much. I think Alada, you said you was in the store one time, and the store was acting like they had they getting slick too. They pushing all the supplies up to the front. And if you look behind like the 3 or 4 bottles, the back of the shelf is empty. One of my sons works for Smart and Final. Like whatever they get like supplies on the weekly. There is no endless supplies of food. Whatever they got out there on the floor, that's pretty much it. There ain't no backup. You ask people, "Can you got anything in the back?" There ain't nothing in the back. They get supplies and trucks come in every week. After that, it's over with. So imagine when the families hit and the food and people hitting these stores and they raiding them and looting and all that, whatever's in them stores, that's it. There ain't no more food coming later and get it while whatever's left, the scraps, and that's it. Now look at this. They talking about the trucking companies. Now these are the trucks that's going to the ports, getting the containers, taking them to the stores. This guy, Craig Fuller, I guess he got a X account called Freight Alley. So he's involved in trucking. It says year over year trucking activity out of LA is down 23%. It will likely drop to 50% in the coming weeks if there isn't a trade war resolution. So first, Craig Fuller should know that there's not going to be a resolution in the coming weeks. That it's going to take months at bare minimum to get things back on track. Long haul, years. Massive layoffs is coming to the West Coast trucking sector. What's going to cause these things? Look at this. Plunging container volume. Volume drop, a decline in imports could slash throughout the port, disrupting operations that rely on consistent traffic for profitability. So we seen last week, China said they're going to hold off their rare earth minerals and all kind of stuff coming over here. You're going to take some of these other European countries saying we ain't sending stuff over there no more either. That's going to slow down the ports. It's going to slow down the imports coming in. Revenue hit. The Port of LA, which generates revenue through container handling fees, leases, and other port services, could face a significant decline in income. So the Port of LA is not going to get money from the handling fees, the leases, and other port services and how they generate income. Job losses, so from layoffs, dock workers and terminal staff, labor hours could get cut, possible layoffs or furloughs, truckers and warehouse workers, major layoffs in the Inland Empire's massive logistic hub in Ontario and Riverside, home to over 200 million square feet of warehousing. Broader economic fallout in Southern California. The logistics sector is the largest private employer in the Inland Empire. A large drop in volume could collapse parts of the warehouse and economy. So the list goes on and on, man. You seeing how this trickle down could affect all kind of aspects of industry, from the shipping containers to the truckers to the dock workers to the administrative staffs to the cashiers to the grocery stores to the mom and pop shops to the residential foods on the table. It's a trickle down. Everybody gonna get touched, right? That's where we headed now. So everybody be prepared. I mean, I don't know how many years we've been saying stack up, stock up, get some. Now it's kind of getting too late. Where it ain't too late. You can still get out there and you can still find some. You can still go hit the Dollar Tree if you still got one around at 99 cents store. They gone. But you can still get you some canned goods, get you some little pasta supplies, some little few bags of rice, whatever you need to do, but make sure that you're getting some stuff because, again, when the shortages kick in, at least you got a little hedge of protection that you got some food there that you can sustain yourself with. I said it before. It's not to try to stop the end of the world and end of the civilization. You ain't stopping it. That prophecy and the famines and everything else that Yahweh said, but one thing he did say is that one thing that sustains us is wisdom and knowledge to be the stability of that times in Isaiah 33:6. So if you got our wisdom and knowledge and we know about preparations and why we need to make sure that, scripture tells us, prepare thy soul for temptation, right? We see that Joseph went through getting the dreams of understanding regarding the 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. What did he do? He stocked up, he got ready. God forbid somebody gets laid off, they get, lose their jobs or whatever the case may be. The money comes slow. You're filing for unemployment. They already hitting all these other governmental sectors and statewide fundings of places. Who knows how long the process is for your checks to come in before you get your first unemployment check. And that's going to be a fraction of what you're normally making. Yeah, things could slow up. Food on the table might come up short. You got to make sure that you got something in place to sustain you and your family. So don't sleep on some of these things, man. While you got opportunity, if you got a little bit of money, hey, instead of go spending that, $20 on the Big Mac combo and the chocolate shake, maybe you might want to buy, go to whatever store, buy you a couple gallons of water for $3. Stash that. Spend another $8 on, some canned goods and whatever, and a couple bags of rice at the Dollar Tree, and you start your mission. That's how you do it. You know, you ain't got to go and we got to hit Costco. We got to buy out the store, charge up the credit card, honey. We got to get everything. All hell's breaking. You panic buy like that, then you end up being broken. You jack yourself up. But steady increments, if you can, right? And you'll be better off in those aspects. All right. So I'm gonna stop there. Let me look at this here before I go on a rant about prepping and all that. Hey, Shalom, what's happening, Tahar? You're absolutely right. Double-minded man, unstable in all his ways. That's a fact. And you see, the stability of America is a rocky road for real. Because Agent Orange is out here, man, double backing on what he said, moonwalking all over the damn place. And we're seeing the fabric of America is dwindling and ripping apart. Here he goes again with the ICE situation. Multiple Venezuelan men arrested by ICE disappeared from the system. So this is so key, man, because remember I played the video of that what's that dude's name? Khalid, was it Khalid something? But the Palestinian cat, the student from over there at Columbia that got arrested. And remember I showed the video, plain closed. Cats came in, unmarked cars, threw him in the car. His wife was asking, "Where are you taking him? Who are you?" And they was like, "We don't have to identify ourselves." There was just a sister that just got arrested on some foolishness, and her wicked self calls herself. I don't know if y'all heard about this. Sister stalks her ex-boyfriend's new woman. She gets a fake ICE shirt, shows up to the woman's job, fake arrest, showed a fake badge. She pretended she was ICE, kidnapped the woman, took her to an apartment and left her there for a minute. And the woman ended up escaping, called the police. The damn sister ended up getting arrested for impersonating the officer. But this is how crazy it can get, is that anybody can run around here and say they ICE. Because they run around here plain clothes, you don't know who's who. And now we're seeing even the dangers of, there's multiple families now that are saying that their people are disappearing. They can't find them in the system. This is how dirty it's getting. At least 2 Venezuelan immigrants who were detained by ICE and deported from the U.S. have completely disappeared, their family said Tuesday. So not only are we looking at the reverse, remember when they keep talking about children disappearing at the border, families being separated and all that? America and the so-called white man is dirty as hell, man. So yeah, there's child trafficking going on, child disappearing, kidnap, rape, the whole nine. They doing that as they coming in. And then when they going out, they disappearing the people too. Relatives of Nearver Adrian Leon Rangel, 27, spoke with the Miami Herald, while family and friends of Ricardo Prada Vasquez, 32, told a story to the New York Times. Leon Rangel arrived in the U.S. in June of 2023 and was allowed to remain in the country while his immigration case was considered, the Herald reported. But on March 13th, ICE agents stopped him at his apartment in a Dallas suburb of Irving and hauled him away. Prada Vasquez was similarly permitted to stay in the U.S. while his immigration case was handled, according to the Times. However, he made a wrong turn from Detroit into Canada in January and was sent to immigration jail. Both families suspect Leon Rangel and Prada Vasquez were on one of 3 deportation flights from March 15th from the U.S. to El Salvador, where suspected gang members were sent to a mega prison in the capital city of San Salvador. So look at that. They disappearing these cats. They shipping them off unlawfully. Remember, they still ain't sent the other guy back. We talked about him last week. And Bukaleli was like, I'm not sending them back. That's like me sending the terrorists back to America. I can't do that. And America was like, well, hey, that's not our problem. He's in the hands of Venezuela. El Salvador now. So this guy's in limbo. They got other cats out here disappearing. And they got the military at the border. Matter of fact, here we go.
Should this military-grade zoom lens be illegal, this is the Starscope Monocular, the most powerful pocket telescope.
You talking about
No joke. Don't
state
try the bull trick before bed unless
locking
you're ready to
down
stay as
every
hard
damn
as a steel
thing.
bar all night long. Every time you see an older
Can't
man
trust
leaving
the
a
system.
young
The soldiers from Fort Carson, Colorado.
We're seeing people getting persecuted for the word's sake, arrested if you're speaking anything. I mean, all hell is breaking loose, man. It's hard to even put this in total words. So he's got the military at the border. He also has armed IRS agents that he recruited. They're going down to the border. Right? Look at this. U.S. Army moves armored combat vehicles to the southern border.
The soldiers from Fort Carson, Colorado, using thermal and infrared cameras on the striker, watching for the tiniest movements along the border.
Even like a little mouse.
Up to a little mouse?
Yeah, up to a little mouse, like up to like a mile long.
Look at the cunning hunter. He said the infrared and everything, they can spot a little mouse. Did you see the distance that they was?
With the striker along the border.
Look, he said they can spot a mouse in all of this. You tell me Esau is not the so-called white man. Didn't the Most High say this is a cunning hunter? You can spot a mouse in this thing way back here in this damn infrared armored vehicle.
Even like a little mouse.
Up to a little mouse?
Yeah, up to a little mouse, like up to like a mile long.
With the strikers and soldiers, President Trump is creating a border barrier that is more than just a wall. He has now authorized the military to take control of a 60-foot strip of federal land along the border, stretching from California to New Mexico. Now, migrants would be crossing into a military installation. It would allow soldiers to make apprehensions, a job that, until now, has been reserved for.
So, in other words,
the soldiers from Fort Carson, Colorado, using thermal and
what happens when neuropathy takes over and your feet start?
Get out of here! God dang. So now they got the militarizing the police. I mean, let's reverse that. The military is now getting policing duties to where they can apprehend and arrest, something that they wasn't able to do before. So now the border is militarized. And that's, again, is that to keep us in or to keep them from coming in? Like, figure it out. Stuff is changing, y'all. You can see it. Look at this. Trump administration must seek to return another wrongly deported man, judge rules. So they constantly sending wrong people out there, man. Who's to say? You, me, or I could get sent up out of here. Remember, he said homegrowns are next. Remember that? He said that last week. Homegrowns are next. Stuff is getting dangerous out here, y'all. FBI arrests Milwaukee judge alleging she interfered in the immigration operation. This cat is out here arresting judges. If you don't like what's going on, they arrested this Milwaukee judge. They said because she told the dude to go out the wrong door. FBI arrests Milwaukee judge alleging she interfered in immigration operation. FBI Director Kash Patel said in a since deleted post on X that the Bureau believed the judge, quote, intentionally misdirected federal agents seeking to arrest an undocumented immigrant. So in other words, the immigration officials are saying, which way did he go? And she says he went that way. And the dude's over this way. Oh, we're locking you up because you helped him escape. It's a judge. FBI arrested a county judge in Milwaukee on Friday, alleging that she obstructed the detention of an undocumented immigrant who was wanted by federal authorities on an administrative immigration warrant by escorting the man and his defense attorney through a non-public jury door. I mean, this is out of control, man. Out of control. I mean, they deporting wrong cats, man. The cats y'all getting deported. Some have disappeared. Slow Biden had hundreds of thousands of children being trafficked and missing. I mean, Esau, man, this ain't the damn devil. I don't know what it is, man. They can't come in without getting persecuted, and kidnapped, and sex trafficked, and they can't go out without getting disappeared and thrown in prison indefinitely and disappeared. And then the damn bastard says homegrowns are next. And then we're seeing the persecution of brothers in France and other countries being banned from speaking the word. And the dress code. Remember, they said the dress code, you can't meet on the Sabbath and the whole nine. Unbelievable. And meanwhile, here he goes, trying to be like the Most High, trying to obstruct the creation. Experiments to dim the sun will be approved within weeks. Experiments to dim sunlight to fight global warming will be given the green light by the government within weeks. And how are they going to do that? They're going to spray the atmosphere with wild chemicals. Who knows what the outcome and the fallout is? We already know what he's doing with the chemtrails. God knows what this next level blocking the sun, spraying the chemicals and creating clouds to stop the sun from beating down on his pale skin. That's what he's trying to do. He's talking about global warming. They ain't got nothing to do with no damn global warming. He's tired of that sun, that skin of his, that transparent snake-like flesh of his getting burnt. Outdoor field trials, which could include injecting aerosols into the atmosphere. Uh-oh. Chemtrails, anyone? Breathe deep. Injecting aerosols into the atmosphere or brightening clouds that reflect sunshine are being considered by scientists as a way to prevent runaway climate change. Now, remember, back in the days, they used to say geoengineering, weather manipulation, HARP, all that was tinfoil hat, crazy talk, conspiracy theory, this, that, and the third. Now it's just run-of-the-mill common conversation. 10, 15 years ago, we talking about this stuff. Oh, you guys are crazy, blah, blah, blah. No way that's happening. That doesn't exist. Then he comes out with a movie called Geostorm. Then you're hearing about Saudi Arabia. They manipulating the weather so it can rain over there. China doing all kind of stuff. Bill Gates trying to block the sun. He finally gets it done. Chemtrails. Oh, they're not they don't have aerosols and barium salts and all kind of damn aluminum being sprayed in the air, damaging, people's lungs and the food supplies and the fallout on the through the rain and the clouds and raising cancer rates. Oh, that's not happening. Now they're talking, well, yeah, we are going to inject aerosols into the atmosphere. Come on, man. ARIA, the government's Advanced Research and Invention Funding Agency, has set aside $50 million for projects which will be announced in the coming weeks. So they got $50 million to go drop on some government projects to block the sun, but they can't throw that $50 million in for the housing projects for the urban development departments. No, they can't find the money to make sure you niggas got homes. No. You can get back out there on the streets. Job talks about Jake's living on the concrete slabs. That's coming down the pipeline, man. We already see the 10 cities and everything else going on. He's trying to up the ante. But here he goes. Getting ready to inject aerosols into the atmosphere. They already got their approval. The money's already on tape, on deck. In the name of, quote unquote, stopping climate change. Another damn hoax. But let's move on. U.S. wants to slap tariffs as high as 500% on solar panels that's coming from Southeast Asia. Now, this is crazy because me and Aladar were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago. In his city in Pasadena, they're trying to make it mandatory that everyone gets solar panels. And now we're seeing that there's going to be a 3,500% tariff on solar panels that's coming from Southeast Asia. And you trying to tell people they got it mandatory, you got to get this. How much you think it's going to cost them to get these damn solar panels now? I mean, this is ridiculous. You talking about him trying to price out, squeeze out, force out, destroy every aspect of the damn economy. I mean, here it goes. You think I got to get them solar panels and try to save some money and all that other stuff? Look, that's why anybody got solar generators, you got the solar panels. If you got them back 5-6 years ago, or even before that, when pre-COVID stuff was cheaper, and bravo. Because now they're going to make it hard as hell to try to circumvent lowering your bill and your energy usages and so forth and so on. And here you are trying to utilize the sun and its natural energy to power anything, And he's saying, oh no, I'm going to spray aerosols and chemicals to diminish the sun's brightness so your solar panels ain't going to work as good. Imagine that. This is the trap that he's got us in, man. The devil that the Bible speaks of. Let's move on. Earthquakes, Indonesia, powerful 6.6 magnitude tremor strikes holiday spot loved by the British. You saw anywhere they let it go, man. Most of shut that thing down. You've seen flooding and earthquakes in Greece and Italy and volcano eruptions. All they little vacation hotspots, man, is getting hit. You want to go down there to Mexico on the southern border? They got damn cartels shooting up the beaches and raiding hotels and all. Everywhere that damn demon goes, man. The Most High is kicking them out. Indonesia, 6.6 magnitude quake. This is just, they love to go to Thailand. They want the lady boys and all that. What happened? Earthquake hit, shut them down. They can't go over there no more. They want to go over there and get their transmissions fixed and get made. You know what I'm saying? They get hit. Here go another one. 6.2 magnitude in Turkey. 6 citizens flee, shaking buildings. Terrified news presenters clings on during live broadcasts. I mean, they've had it from earthquakes from Turkey to New York, New Jersey, Oklahoma, Texas, California. I mean, the list goes on and on, man. Indonesia, Tonga. Earthquakes in diverse places, man. Now, let me breeze through this real quick. In other news, we talked about this guy right here, Klaus Schwab. He stepped down from being the head of the World Economic Forum. He was one of the head elites leading this think tank of demons and warlocks, right? And you know what's interesting when I say that, and I may mention this before, there's a Twilight Zone episode, I believe it's called Africa, and it's about this corporation, these Edomites, and they're basically colonizing the spot in Africa, and they want the oil, and they're trying to move these tribes about the way, and one of the tribes that didn't like it put a hex on it, or put some curses on it, and the guy that went over there to do the little excavation, he goes back and he's reporting to his boardroom, and they sitting at the little round table and all that, and the guy says, well, how serious is the threat over there in Africa? What's going on with the tribes? And he names off a couple of the tribes, and he was like, but this particular tribe, I forgot what he called them. He was like, they're serious. He was like, they got witch doctors, they doing voodoo hexes, all this other stuff, and they don't like what's going on. They supposedly they got a curse on us. And they all start laughing. They was like, yeah, right. You like, basically the primitive ass savages, like, we ain't scared of that. And the Edomite was like, no, this is serious. And he was like, you guys better pay attention. And he was like, they was like, what? We don't pay attention to that. Like, that's savage. And he was like, oh yeah. So he's like, Jim, you still got that lucky rabbit's foot? And he was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, oh, look at this. Powerful man of this big industry, but can't go nowhere without his lucky charm. Then he asked another dude, he was like, you still got your lucky socks? And, basically he was pointing out all of them had some sort of occult-like witchcraft behavior, superstitious ways that they was going about it. And he was like, look at this. The top country, the top corporations in the world are run by warlocks and witches with superstitions. And I was like, that's Esau in a nutshell. And he said that in Twilight Zone, damn near 1960 something, where they just let that slip out. That bottom line, all these CEOs got superstitious occult-like behavior and consulting of witches and warlocks to maintain their wealth, and they laugh at and point fingers as hypocritical to say, oh, those savages, them blacks and Hispanic, they worshiping a God in heaven that's only their God. And what kind of foolishness is that? But meanwhile, they're doing the same things. I say that to say, what you got in there, Ashar? You said the longest trade war in U.S. history, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act, lasted for 4 years. Yeah, that's one of them. That's one of a kind. Shalom, Shariam. What's up, Nanat? Yeah. So now when you see here, but then that's a good point, Ashar, because like we're seeing, there's not gonna be no quick little turnaround with these things, man. These things could last years. Let alone, I think the shortest one was like a couple months or something like that. But that was amongst some small nation. Imagine America's got tariffs on over 150 some odd nations, and its biggest one is not backing down. So this thing could go for years, and you see the economic fallout that is happening. So double backing, and we're seeing how this is all changing the framework of the world. Look at this guy, Klaus Schwab, head of the World Economic Forum. This is the guy that says, "Oh, imagine COVID is a small disturbance for the next thing that's coming down the pipeline." This is the guy that was calling all the shots during COVID, everything else. And they have annual meetings, Davos meetings, Bilderberg meetings, and all that, where the elites come together, man, and they sit back and they powwow and have these think tanks about how they want to maintain dominance over the world. Long story short, this guy jumps out the window and says, "I'm out of here. I got to abruptly leave my post." And he was going to leave power over to his family, his sons, right? But look what he got caught up with. Davos tyrant falls from grace as WF turns on its creator, Klaus Schwab, under internal investigation following whistleblowers' allegation of financial and ethical misconduct. So they say he was siphoning off money. He was overusing villas and all this other stuff that they was having. So, you know, a typical thief, man. It's Esau. Creates a whole little fake company that all the little warlocks can come together. And then when they realize he's over here stealing from them, they turn on him. And he jumps ship, right? But look at the outfit, though. One thing I want to point out. If y'all remember, you see this movie? This is a very similar outfit from this guy, Raymond Cocteau, in the movie Demolition Man. Now, I want you to just read part of his description as a character in this movie and put this to this guy right here. You see, the outfit is damn near the same thing. You can't make this stuff up, man. Here's his movie, Demolition Man. His occupation, founder and mayor of San Angeles, founder and CEO of Cocteau Industries. His powers, genius level intellect, political influence, manipulative charisma, social engineering, wealth and resources, and advanced technologies. Again, match that to this guy right here, and it matches right up. Goals: drive Simon Phoenix into killing Edgar Friendly and his survivors group in order to ensure his existence as San Angeles mayor and with no disturbance. So, you know, he manipulated or tried to manipulate Simon Phoenix, was Wesley Snipes' character. And if you ain't seen Demolition Man, go watch it. It's a good movie, right? But look at his crimes: abuse of power, attempted murder, conspiracy, and oppression. Type of villain, a hypocritical mastermind. This is the type of cast that is actually running and ruling the earth right now. This is Esau for you. Job 9:24 is real. And here goes one of them. He's fall from grace that he got too greedy. But the show doesn't stop. Yeah, Shalak, he's the one that said that. You own nothing, have nothing, and be happy. You're going to learn to love being broke, busted, and disgusted, and infected with diseases, eating bugs. We're going to take over the environment. You're going to live in microscopic, micro apartments. We're going to have all the wealth and the resources. You're going to have nothing, and you're going to love it. Essentially, be satisfied with your slavery. He's that one, yes. Emulating this character out of this movie, man. And here's his replacement. Now, he's going to be speaking in I think, Spanish or French, but right now, this is his replacement. This guy was the head of Nestle Water. And watch what he says.
Ja, es gibt da bei uns ein schönes Lied, Wasser braucht das liebe Vieh, Hollerei.
He's Austrian. So it says here, the deer cattle need water, You talking about some
Tollerie, wenn Sie sich erinnern können. Also Wasser ist natürlich das wichtigste Rohmaterial.
Water is the most important raw mineral. The earth is 3/4 water. A natural, quote unquote, free resource, right? That's what he says, though.
Material, das wir heute noch auf der Welt haben. Es geht darum, ob wir das normale Wasserversorgung der Bevölkerung.
He says the question is, should we privatize the normal water supply for the population? In other words, should we colonize it, privatize it, and own it so we can distribute it and have control over the water? Again, natural resource given to us by the Most High. Esau says, no, the earth's been given into my hands. I'm going to be the one who controls it. Look, and that's part of the prophecy. Lamentations 5 tells us that. Look at this. Where is that at? Here we go. Let's read 5. We're going to read 1 down to 4. Remember, O Yahweh, what is come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. Yeah, our homeland is infected with GMO small hats running wild over there, declaring war, starving out the Palestinians, having gay parades, smoking cigarettes, sodomizing each other. I mean, all kind of matters is going on over there. Verse 3, we are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us. Yeah. This is what we're under right now. And here goes one of the demons right now controlling it. He says, the question is, should we privatize this and take control of it for the population? Is that ethical?
Ja, es gibt da bei uns ein schönes Lied, Wasser braucht das liebe Vieh, Hollerei und Hollerie, wenn Sie sich erinnern können. Also Wasser ist natürlich das wichtigste Rohmaterial, das wir heute noch auf der Welt haben. Es geht darum, ob wir das normale Wasserversorgung der Bevölkerung privatisieren oder nicht. Und da gibt es 2 verschiedene Anschauungen. Die eine Anschauung, extrem würde ich sagen, wird von einigen von den NGOs vertreten, die darauf pochen, dass Wasser zu einem öffentlichen Recht erklärt wird.
Now, the NGOs, I believe, is a national government organization. He says, hey, they're going on ranting about how having water is a public right. He said, that's extreme. Like, you shouldn't be talking about you got the right to have water.
Das heißt, als Mensch sollten Sie einfach Recht haben, Wasser zu haben.
He says, they're saying, as a human being, you should have right to have water. What's he think?
Das ist die eine Extremlösung.
That's an extreme solution.
Und die andere, die sagt, Wasser ist ein Lebensmittel, so wie jedes andere Lebensmittel, sollte das einen Marktwert haben.
He says, I look at it like water is food and it should have a market value.
Ich persönlich glaube, es ist besser, man gibt einem Lebensmittel einen.
Personally, he believes to give a foodstuff its value. Now, this is a guy that's just taken over this World Economic Forum. That's why I said, man, Esau operate. You talk about the serpent, the dragon, right? 7 heads and all of that. It's like a hydra. You cut one head off, man, another one grows. Just like in Mark, what is it, 7th chapter, the Most High says, you know, the man that had the spirits on him, they got out and he left it empty. And 7 more spirits came back, more wicked than himself. I mean, that's how Esau operates, man. You cut the head off one damn snake, man. Here comes one hissing with venom leaking out his teeth. Even worse. Now he's saying water should have a value on it.
Wert, sodass wir alle bewusst sind, dass das etwas kostet und dann anschließend versucht, dass man mehr spezifisch für diesen Teil der Bevölkerung, der keinen Zugang zu diesem Wasser hat, dass man dann dort etwas spezifischer eingreift und da gibt es ja verschiedene Möglichkeiten. Also.
So he said, hey, the population that don't have access to water, well, we got to consider that. But meanwhile, who gives a damn? I'm taking the water, I'm throwing value on it. So if he's ready to take that particular resource and now you're giving him access to a World Economic Forum, a World Economic Forum of demons and warlocks, man, that are contemplating about how they want to dominate and control the earth. And here he is saying, well, we got to monetize everything. We got to take natural resources, make them our own, which he's done. Look, while Nestle extracts millions of liters from their land, residents have no drinking water. He's already had, and Nestle, the water company, same one that's out here selling water, man, they have robbed and stolen lands and taken over the water supplies from various Native American tribes, taking the water, and these same tribes, I forgot which tribe I can't remember which tribes they are, but there's a few tribes that deal with water scarcity themselves because they went and stole other land. Nestle water scandal. How about that one? Scandal. Well, let's just see what they say real quick on this Google. It says, I don't usually like using this, but for time's sake, Nestle's faced significant controversy over its water bottling practices, including accusations of illegally extracting water from drought-stricken areas and Native American reservations, which has led to severe water shortages for local communities. Critics argue that the company's actions prioritize profit over public access to clean water, raising ethical concerns about the commodification of a vital resource. Isn't that what he just got through saying? This is his idea, and guess what happens? Severe water shortages for local communities. They monopolize the taking. We just got to read in Lamentations. We drunk on our water for money. He's full blown like we don't give a damn. Starve them out. More for us. But it was various tribes, man. I can't remember all that. I can't remember the tribes, but this dude is wicked as hell. Look at this. While residents do without water, Nestle, the world's biggest bottler, is extracting up to 3.6 million liters of water daily from nearby Six Nations treaty land. The Six Nations did not approve of Nestle pumping. Martin Hill, a Six Nations local, a professor of indigenous studies at McMaster University, said they told Nestle that they wanted them to stop. Of course, they're still pumping as we speak. And Nestle had an issue with the Flint water supply. And that's who's getting ready to control the World Economic Forum. I'm not going to read the rest of this. Y'all can do your own research on that. Last thing I want to show y'all. Look at this. We just got to see it earlier. They talked about their suspending quality control over the milk and the dairy. And you seen they just got to saying this is one of the ways that so-called bird flu is coming through. So they're saying we ain't gonna stop it coming through. We're trying to get a particular black swan collapse going, whether it's economic, whether it's through a next plague, you name it. Look at this. Major U.S. airport on red alert after patient infected with the world's most infectious disease passes through. Health officials are sounding the alarm over a potential measles exposure at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. So they've been pumping the measles down there in Texas. They're saying it's growing 900 some cases all across the country. Oh, it's happening. Now they're saying a major airport is on red alert because somebody then came through with the measles in Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. And you know what? When I read this, guess what clicked in my head? Guess what clicked in my head? Where was the first case of COVID in the U.S.? Look at this. First confirmed case of this right here. Sonoma County in January 20th, 2020. Ironically, look at the numbers. Okay. 246. Oh, well, let me stop that. But look what they said it. January 2020. January 20th, 2020. The first confirmed case in the U.S. was in Sonoma County in North Seattle. This is the same place. Now it said this was Seattle, right? Health officials are sounding the alarm over potential measles exposure at Seattle Tacoma International Airport. And I believe they said that this same cat came from China. Look at this. The patient in Sonoma County was a 35-year-old man whose name was not made public. He had returned to Washington on January 15th after visiting Wuhan. His arrival in the United States came 2 days before the U.S. Center for Disease Control began screening passengers at New York and San Francisco. How ironic. Again, Psalm 64 and what is it, 8. He's going to cause his tongue to fall upon himself. Same playbook. Oh, first guy, he came into Seattle, Washington on the airport. He came from Wuhan. Now what are they saying? Oh, the major airport in where? Oh, Seattle. Tacoma, Washington, the airport. Again, an infected infant visited the airport South Concourse with their family, potentially exposing the other to the world's most infectious disease. The person was at the airport, the largest in the Pacific Northwest and one of the busiest in America, on April 17 between 4:50 and 7:45. You can't make this up, man. They're telling you, get ready. We're coming down the pipeline with the next thing. We're using the same playbook, same background, same everything, man. You can't make this stuff up. It's unbelievable. He's telling him, look, he's coming from Seattle, same place the last thing went down. We're gonna do it again. If that don't work, the economy is gonna collapse. If that don't work, we still are deregulating food quality control. We're going to disease you one way or the other. If that don't work, we're going to spray aerosols in the air to block the sun. Hopefully you guys inhale that deep, and we got to get this under control. We got to make sure that we don't lose a grip on what happens. And by the way, as long as you keep running out there talking about your God's chosen people and keep the law, statutes, and commandments, we're going to ban you in various countries. We're going to call it hate speech. We're going to say that you're a hate group. You're seditious. You understand? This is where we're headed. All right. Prayerfully, man, everybody got some edification tonight. I know we went on somewhat of a little bit of a marathon tonight, but it's important. It's important. The Waterford brothers and sisters, man, staying up. If you're watching this the next day on the Shabbat, man, Shabbat Shalom to you, whoever you may be tuning in, catching up on the background. You didn't catch the live, but you're catching the recording. All praises. Share this word, man. You got to press this out there, man. Your family, your friends, whatever, your social media accounts. Our people got to wake up. They got to get this information. They're going to have to get it one way or the other, man. By hook or by crook, man. We got to get this word out there. So I'm going to close out there, man. Everybody stay in the spirit, right? As always, fear the Most High, keep the commandments. And lastly, don't shoot the messenger. I'm out of here, y'all. Shalom.